My name is Brandy. Standing in the empty foyer of my childhood home, 3 weeks after the grand showdown, I'm filled with a profound sense of closure. The movers have taken everything, and the echoes of my father's temper and my sister's vanity are replaced by a peaceful, hollow silence. I remember the day I walked into the grand imperial ballroom like it was yesterday. It was a sea of diamonds and designer tuxedos. My family arrived looking desperate, their forced smiles failing to hide the panic in their eyes. My father, Mr. Thompson, was cornering board members, begging for a lifeline, while my sister, Lily, tried to snap selfies to maintain her wealthy heiress image. They were waiting for the arrival of the mystery mogul who had saved the local market from collapse. When the double doors swung open, the room went silent. I walked down the grand staircase in a black gown embroidered with silver, looking every bit like the queen of the industry. The guests gasped. My father froze, his champagne glass nearly slipping from his hand. "Brandy?" he stammered, his face turning a ghostly pale. How did you get an invite to this?" I walked straight up to him, my heels clicking rhythmically on the marble. "I didn't need an invitation to my own event, Dad," I said, my voice echoing through the silent hall. "I'm the CEO of Zenith Ventures. I'm the one who bought your debt. And I'm the one who currently owns every square inch of the house you kicked me out of." Lily stepped forward, her face twisted in disbelief. You're just a basement-dwelling nerd." I looked at her with pure ice in my eyes. "That nerd just bought your entire future, Lily. And your 48 hours to vacate the premises starts now." The silence that followed was the sweetest sound I had ever heard. The confrontation moved to a private suite upstairs. My father tried to roar with his old authority, but it sounded hollow now. "You betrayed your own blood," he shouted, though his eyes were wet with fear. I didn't flinch. I laid out the documents on the table, the foreclosure notices, the stock transfers, and the eviction order. "You didn't see me as blood when you told me to live in the gutter," I said, my voice low and steady. "You saw me as a burden because I didn't fit your definition of success. I paid your taxes for 2 years in secret just to keep a roof over your head, and you repaid me with an insult I will never forget." My mother, Mrs. Thompson, sobbed into her hands, while Lily stood in the corner, her phone finally silent. I wasn't a monster, though. I offered them a deal, a modest life in a suburban home I had purchased with a strictly managed trust that would cover their basic needs, but nothing more. No more designer bags, no more country clubs, no more ego. "Sign the remaining shares over to me, and you won't spend tonight in a shelter," I told them. My father looked at the pen as if it were a weapon. He realized he had no moves left. He had spent his life underestimating the quiet one, and now the quiet one was his only hope. With a shaking hand, he signed the papers. The Thompson Empire was officially dead. The Brandy era had begun. Let me take you back to the day it all started. My father, Mr. Thompson, was a wealthy and powerful man in the business world. He was arrogant and controlling, always expecting his children to follow his rules and live up to his standards. My sister, Lily, was his favorite. She was beautiful, popular, and had a talent for socializing. I, on the other hand, was the quiet one. I spent most of my time in my room, working on my high-frequency trading algorithm. One stormy night, everything changed. The heavy oak door of our mansion slammed shut behind me, the sound echoing through the cold, rainy air. I stood on the rain-slicked driveway, the cold wind biting through my thin blouse. Behind the glass, Lily watched with a smug grin, already imagining how she'd turn my bedroom into her new content studio. My father's voice still echoed in my ears, a jagged blade of a memory. "Go exist in the gutter, Brandy. You're a leech with no future. Lily is the star of this family." What he didn't know was that for 3 years, while I sat quietly in that room, I wasn't wasting time. I was building a high-frequency trading algorithm that had just crossed the $100 million mark. To them, I was the unemployed hermit. In reality, I was their secret benefactor, quietly paying the property taxes they had neglected. I dropped the keys to the family car onto the wet gravel, the metallic clink sounding like a victory bell. I didn't need their charity, and I certainly didn't need their house. I pulled out my encrypted phone and sent a single text to my lead broker: the transition is complete. Move the liquid assets to the primary offshore account and activate the penthouse. It's time to stop playing the victim and start playing the hunter. As I walked toward the gate, the rain felt like a baptism. They wanted me in the gutter, but they forgot one thing. I own the street. Finding a taxi at midnight in the suburbs was nearly impossible, but a private black car arrived within minutes, a perk of a black-tier concierge service my father didn't even know existed. As the city lights blurred past the window, I watched my net worth tick upward on my tablet. The algorithm was executing trades with surgical precision. By the time I reached the Celestial Tower, the most exclusive residential tower in the city, my assistant, Ryan, was waiting in the lobby. "Welcome home, Miss B," he said, bowing slightly. The penthouse was a glass-walled fortress overlooking the skyline, purchased through a shell company a year ago for this exact moment. I stood on the balcony, looking down at the world that had tried to crush me. I spent the night analyzing my father's portfolio. He was over-leveraged, his empire held together by vanity and mounting debt. He thought he was the king, but I held the mortgage to his throne. I made a phone call to my legal team. "I want every debt note under Mr. Thompson's name bought out by Eclipse," I commanded. "Every loan, every mortgage, every credit line. Use the Phoenix Fund. I want him to wake up realizing he doesn't own the chair he's sitting in." I wasn't just leaving. I was preparing to repossess his entire life. By sunrise, the trap was set. By Monday morning, the financial world was in a frenzy. A mysterious entity known as Zenith Ventures had executed a hostile takeover of Thompson Enterprises' largest development project. I sat in my glass office sipping coffee as I watched the news reports of my father's frantic press conferences. He looked haggard, his bravado replaced by a visible tremor. He was calling every investor he knew, but little did he know, I had already offered them buyouts they couldn't refuse. I had transformed myself, too. Gone were the hoodies and messy buns. I now wore tailored silk suits and a cold, calculating confidence that felt like armor. I kept a close eye on Lily's social media. She was posting videos from my old room, mocking my disappearance to her followers, oblivious to the fact that the very Wi-Fi she was using was now part of a property in foreclosure. On Wednesday evening, my mother finally called. Her voice was trembling. "Brandy, please. Your father is losing everything. Some shadow company is destroying us. If you have any savings at all, we need a loan to save the house." I stared at the city lights, feeling a strange mix of pity and resolve. "I told you I was working on something big, Mom," I said calmly. "You just chose not to believe me." I hung up and sent a final instruction to Ryan. "Invite them to the annual Founders Gala. Send the invitation by a courier. It's time for the big reveal." Now, as I stand here in this empty house, I look out the window at the long driveway. A sleek black SUV is waiting for me. I have a meeting with the city's mayor to discuss a new tech hub I'm funding, a place for kids like me, the quiet ones who are often overlooked. I walk out of the house and lock the door for the last time. As I drive away, I don't look in the rearview mirror. My father had told me to go live in the streets, so I went out and bought the whole neighborhood. I wasn't just a survivor of a toxic family. I was the architect of a new legacy. The gutter is behind me, and the entire horizon is ahead. I am finally, truly free.